Joe, I want to ask this. What would encourage greater youth participation in politics?
A number of factors. About this time, 4 years ago, we were celebrating Not Too Young to Run. After the signing into law of that constitutional amendment that reduced the age qualification for Nigerian youth. Recall that before the 2018 constitutional alteration, the age limit for contesting for House of Reps was 30, and that of State House of Assembly was also 30. Even though the promoters of Not Too Young to Run wanted reduction in that of the age qualification for Senate, as well as governorship, it was half bread is better than puff puff. So they got reduction for House of Reps and State House of Assembly from 30 to 25. But it was worth celebrating because then it increased the number of those who aspire to contest for those positions in 2019, and I believe also in 2023. Aside from that, the introduction of technology in 2022 Electoral Act is an incentive for youth to participate in the electoral process. My beautiful sister, you recall that prior to now, none of the technological devices has legal backing. The smart card reader, there was no backing, no legal backing for it. And when it was deployed in 2015, the Supreme Court actually said there is need for it to be rooted in law, because even though it's meant for accreditation, it's not backed by any piece of legislation. So in 2018, our attempt was made to have this legal backing, also to have electronic voting, to have electronic transfer of results and all of that. But because the president refused or withdrew assent in 2018, it was another round of lobbying ahead of this 2023 election, when we now have a total package of technological innovations that will now be deployed into our electoral process. And one of them is the BVAS, the Bimodal Voter Accreditation System, which actually was the Achilles heel of Governor Ademola Adeleke in Osun State, as read by the two-man panel that nullified his victory. That BVAS is a device used for not only accreditation, but also transmission of polling unit results to a dedicated portal. And it has proven in Osun to be a game changer. So Nigerian youths have no excuse for not participating, because if you say hitherto votes do not count, you now saw that votes do count with what has happened in Osun, that if there's any mago-mago or any chua-chua, you can actually go to court to retrieve your mandate. Because what happened in Osun, for people who do not know, was that the BVAS, which has a record of number of accredited voters, is the only device that can tell how many people actually voted in a polling unit. Unlike in the past where they use the number of registered voters in a polling unit as a basis for overvoting. Now, it is the number of accredited voters that are being used, and which means Nigerian youths, either contesting or not contesting, now could see that votes will count in 2023. So when you look at the entire value chain of technological innovations that 2022 Electoral Act has brought into the electioneering process, there is no excuse for Nigerian youths not to participate. Aside from this that I've talked about, I can also highlight the fact that in time past, desperate politicians can put INEC officials under duress to make a wrong declaration. But there is now a provision in the Electoral Act that says where that happens, INEC has the power to review the result of such declaration within 7 days. So the words of a returning officer is no longer final. The long and short of what I'm saying is that with the Electoral Act 2022, it's no longer business as usual for desperate politicians. And I can tell you for free, there will be a lot of shocker in these forthcoming 2023 general elections. A lot, because many areas that are being used for election rigging have been blocked. And politicians will have to devise new ways to be able to survive without electoral integrity. So youths, Nigerian youths, have no more excuse why they cannot or should not participate. And don't also forget that this election coming will be determined by Nigerian youths. If you look at the figures, continuous voter registration and the entire the demography of Nigerian youths, out of the 93.5 million registered voters, Nigerian youth has about 70% of that voting population. So they have the power to make the next president, to make the next governor, to make the next senator, to make the next House of Reps member, to make the next governor, to make the next House of Reps member. So the power is actually with the youth, because with the innovations that is contained in the electoral 2022, some of which I have highlighted, and there are many more I didn't mention because of time. Then the fact that youth now, having registered, particularly after the NSAS protest of 2020, that Nigerian youths now decided to move their anger from the streets into the electioneering process. It is believed that this forthcoming election will be determined. The next round of leaders will be determined by Nigerian youths. But it is left for them to now take opportunities that on February 25 and March 11, they are not watching premiership while they should be voting. They are not, listening to music in their homes and relaxing when they should be on cue to cast their ballot. It's in their hands.
All right, we'll take a quick break and the conversation will continue here on Lagos Talk. So talking about youth participation in politics, how does participation affect political leanings? Some countries are reducing the voting age up to 16 so that more youth can participate. It's something perhaps that could be incorporated here in Nigeria. We'll speak more about this on the other side. It's Lagos Talks on Smooth 98.1.
Future forward banking.
We'll be back on, please, in about a minute.
All right. What's the name, please? May I know what your name is, please?
I think you want to say something.
What?
Sir, were you saying something?
Your name, the name of the presenter.
I can't hear.
I said, what is your name?
Sorry, could you say it again, please?
Your name, please.
Zibby.
Oh,
Zibby. Thank you.
To take care of your daily experiences.
You always need to tell them that
we believe that banking should be all about you and your business and how to get you to the next level. If you do not already have a Providus bank account, please speak with our business concierge on 0700 77 684 387 or email businessconcierge@providusbank.com to switch to a future forward banking experience. Profit us Bank. Future forward banking. Life is music. Here on Smooth 98.1. Go by a new center and touch that back.
You're listening to Lagos Talks on Smooth 98.1. We're talking about youth participation in politics. And our special guest joining us this morning is Mr. Jide Ojo. He is a political analyst. Mr. Ojo, I want to ask this. Do you think that the youth are aware of the potential of the power that they have?
They should be aware, because I know many youth groups that have been sensitizing, that have been encouraging, that has been mobilizing Nigerian youth to participate. I've also been involved in that campaign and advocacy. If you watch
to let us know what your thoughts are. The WhatsApp number is 0809 444 0981. And of course, you can give us a ring. The telephone number to call is 0144 or just tweet at smooth981. And the hashtag is Lagos Talks 981. Now, according to Worldometer, Nigeria has about 151 million youth, and that is a massive 70% of the population of the country. Let's go on to the phone lines. Good morning. Hi, how are you? Very well, thank you. Speak to us.
Yes. I think the youth have a greater, what's it called, to participate in this election, in politics generally. But then I think they've not really actually harnessed it to the larger interest, and because majority of them don't know that they actually have this power. Because the number of youth that we have actually should be able to offset any political campaign or election. Then again, how are the youth participating at the world level? How are the youth joining political parties to make impact? Because as much as we know, the youth are actually most of the time complaining about the old order. If you are complaining about a certain thing, you should be able to participate fully. It's not just about going out to vote alone. Majority of the youth should start as you're never too young to run a bill which was passed that the other time. Give them the opportunity to be able to participate fully. Even if they feel they cannot change the system right now. But being in those parties, contributing and making sure that their vote counts will go a long way for the youth. Then again, we talk about the issue of election now. Like we said, when we talk about vote apathy, it is majorly from the youth. You know, the majority of them, they come into the election, during the election days, they go to play football, they do all kind of things. And they don't actually participate. If there is no form of gratuity or whatever that they will gain from the system. Look at the NSAS issue. Majority of them came out only because of the fact that they were going to get entertainment and the rest of it. So the youth today need to be more educated. That not just about when you think you are going to gain something from a system before you can participate, but you have to go all out for that cause. So the youth need a lot of education, orientation among themselves to be able to make a certain change. We just hope this election will not be like the others, despite the fact that they have been getting more of voter cards and all that. But when you check the INEC register, the over 2.3 million registration that was cancelled is basically from the youth, because the majority of them will do some things halfway and abandon it. So we hope they will be able to do more this time around.
Okay. All right, Abbas. Thank you for calling. We'll take another phone call. Good morning. Good morning. What's your name? Where are you calling from? All right, Gary Newton, go ahead, please.
Yes, I would like to say that the youth, I think they don't have the political will to come in. Take, for example, over 60%, I stand to be corrected, of our youth today stay under the parents' parents will tell you, don't do this, don't do that. And when anything that have to do with Nigeria politics arrives, your parents will be the first group of set of person that will call you to tell you not to participate. Forgetting that tomorrow you'll be the one that is going to reap the consequences of whatever that is going on today. So from our homes, from our universities, and from the schools, we need to make sure that we introduce this political apathy into our youth, so that at least they will know that there's something that we need to do for this for tomorrow's purpose, not for today's purpose, because every to come youth and majority of us, what we do, we are after today. We are after what we can do today. Nobody wants to plant a tree today and harvest it tomorrow. They just want to plant that tree and have the fruit today. So we need to know that whatever thing we are doing today is going to affect us tomorrow. So we need to have that apathy, that hunger to make a better tomorrow. If we have that in us, trust me, we will change the situation of this politics in this country, irrespective of whether they are platform or they are not platform, because we are more than, in fact, the youth has the highest population.
Okay.
Apathy is embedded in us right from youth age, from primary school, from secondary school. You will see that a lot of people will know more about politics.
Okay. Okay, Gary. All right, Gary. Thank you so much for calling and have a brilliant day ahead. And let's come to our guest, Mr. Ojo. Some countries are trying to get more young people involved in politics. In fact, in countries like Germany, they've reduced the voting age to 16 in certain areas, particularly for European parliamentary elections. Do you think if the voting age here in Nigeria was reduced, would have more younger people being encouraged to take decisions in electoral processes?
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. You see, in Ghana, the age to contest, qualification age to contest to Ghanaian parliament is 21. You understand?
Mm.
And the voting age is 18. But you see, Nigeria brand of politics is quite different from many other climes. If you are looking at the issue of apathy and why youth do not participate, I've just given you some of the reasons, and I will expand on that. Recall earlier intervention I made, I talked about the innovations and the new Electoral Act, the innovations contained therein and all of that. But you see, if you want to swell, increase exponentially the youth participation, there are a number of things Nigeria needs to do. And some of them I will highlight quickly. In Ghana, in Kenya, in South Africa, in many other African countries, there's what is called early voting. Early voting means, you know, ahead of the general election day, those of us who might be on election duty, like security agents, like journalists, accredited observers, ad hoc staff of INEC who would be conducting election. These are millions of people. They will have been given the opportunity of a designated place where they could cast their ballot ahead of the day for general election. That's what is called early ballot. We do not have that provision. So an estimated between 3 to 5 million people are shut out because there is no provision for early voting. 2, I've observed elections across the globe, in US, in Uganda, in Egypt, in Ghana, and since 1999 in Nigeria. It is only in Nigeria you have the shortest hours of voting, which is 6 hours. In US, where I was in 2010, election holds for between 12 to 13 hours in many of the states. It's either 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. or 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. And in US, likewise let me not even cite US. In Egypt, election holds between 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. 12 hours. In Nigeria, election will hold between 8:30 a.m. and 2:30 in the afternoon, 6 hours. So, meanwhile, you will still shut down the economy. There will be total lockdown. You remember, on that day, if you want to come to work, you have to have what is called election duty sticker for you to be able to move around. Otherwise, you cannot move if you are living on the island and you work on the mainland or vice versa. You cannot move around because there will be blockades. So how do you want mass participation when there is lockdown and when election will hold for just 6 hours, when in other climes, election hold for 12 hours, 13 hours? Then what about diaspora voting, or what is popularly called out-of-country voting? Does Nigeria have out-of-country voting? The answer is no. So if you are based in US, you are in Germany, you are in UK, no matter your remittances into the Nigerian economy back home, you are not allowed to participate. But mark you, my sister, in Kenyan election of August 2022, Kenyans in 12 different countries across the globe were allowed to vote for the president of Kenya. From across 12 countries, some of them in Africa, some of them in Europe, like in US, UK, Germany, Canada. If you are a Kenyan resident and you registered, you are allowed to vote for the in the presidential election, just that you cannot vote in the lower level of election. But we don't have out-of-country voting in Nigeria. This is giant of Africa. You still have lockdown. You still have 6 hours of voting. There is no early voting. Then in Kenya, this last August 2022, general election in Kenya, did you know that prisoners, those who are in prison, were allowed to vote? Prisoners across Kenyan prisons were allowed to vote. Nigerians do not have that provision. In US, you talk of mail-in ballots. You can mail your ballot. You can request by email that your ballot papers should be sent to you. You send it back by email. There's out-of-country voting. There is early voting provision. Then you have 12 hours of voting. These are the reasons why, in spite of the pandemic of COVID-19 in 2020, that presidential election that brought in Joe Biden happens to have recorded the highest turnout in the history of US. It was no magic. It was just because there are several means of voting, several methods of voting available to Americans. So you don't need to shut down the economy. On your way to work, you can go cast your ballot. And you know, in US, there are states where you can register in the morning of election and still vote that same day. There are states where you register up to 1 week to election. Here, we have cut off people almost 6 months to election because of all this weeding of ghost registrants, incomplete registrants, and all of that. 6 months. So all those who turn 18 and above from 6 months ago will not be able to participate in this forthcoming election. And what did Egypt do to make sure that the Egyptians are not disenfranchised? They don't use voters' card in Egypt. What they use simply is your national ID card. So the national ID card qualifies you to vote in Egypt. Once you turn 18, Zibby, you will get notification that you are now qualified to vote, and this is your voting point. This is your polling booth. That is what other climes does. But Nigeria, we are still in the antediluvian era. We are still living in the past. We are yet to be part of the contemporary modern world. We still look, things are still being done manually. As of 2010, when I went to US to observe election, there are options for you as a voter. You either use touch screen or you use ballot paper. Those options are there. Now, even though the law already permitted INEC to do electronic balloting, INEC is not contemplating that in the forthcoming election. We are not going to have electronic balloting in the next election, maybe by 2027, but the law has already given INEC power to do that. So what I'm saying invariably, in order not to deviate too much from what you asked me, is that even if you lower the voting age, that may still not means mass turnout of voters. Look at the issue of insecurity. Today, the debate in the public space is whether the election will be postponed or election will be held as scheduled because of fear of insecurity. So in other climes, do we have this kind of fear when election comes around? Do we hear of bombing, raising of INEC offices, abduction of election officials, and all of that? Do we hear of that? So how will you come out in a situation where there's insecurity? So these are factors, multiple factors that affect our turnout of voters. So even if you reduce the voting age to 10, it may not necessarily make voter turnout to increase exponentially. You may have 150 million people on your voters register and only 10 million people will come out to vote because of fear of attack, of insecurity, the fact that election vote for 6 hours, there will be lockdown, there's no provision for early voting, there's no out-of-country voting, there's no voting right of persons who are in prisons, and all this, there's no mail-in ballot. So until when we have all of this cocktail of opportunities for people to exercise their franchise, that's when you start having mass turnout of voters.
All right, well, thank you, Mr. Ojo. We'll take a quick break and we'll continue the conversation on the other side. We'll take more of your phone calls and your messages. This is Lagos Talks on Smooth 98.1.
Future Forward Banking. Stay tuned, everyone. Don't even think about touching that dial.
We'll be back in 3 minutes.
What
please.
does Future Forward Banking mean to you? Speed, innovation, convenience, lifestyle goals, or just simply getting service that is designed just for you? Yeah, we thought you might like all of that and more. That is why we specially created Providus Bank for you to take care of your daily experiences. At Providus Bank, we believe that banking should be all about you and your business and how to get you to the next level. If you do not already have a Providus Bank account, please speak with our business concierge on 0700 77 684 387 or email businessconcierge@providusbank.com to switch to a future forward banking experience. Providus Bank, future forward banking.
This is Odunsi the engineer, and you're listening to Smooth Breakfast.
They are giants in every sense of the word, and they bring entertainment that's just as big.
Big Brother Titan.
Don't miss the first ever season of Big Brother Titans with Naija and Mzansi contestants under one roof. Get ready for intense drama, romance, and cameras 24/7. It's an unmissable season. Big Brother Titans starts on Sunday, the 15th of January on DSTV 198, GoTV 29, and Africa Magic. Get and stay connected to DSTV and GoTV for the biggest takeover. Big Brother Titans is rated 18. Headline sponsors Bamboo, Flutterwave, and Lotto Star.
Hey, dude, what's up? Oh, dude, you look tired.
I didn't dress well. Did he there? Hey, then I had this nightmare and woke up in a pool of my sweat.
If it was just you the dream. Well, mine was just the opposite.
my LG Genco AC was on, so I slept like a baby.
The new LG GenCool air conditioners comes with Gen Mode multi-step and voltage care features that provides different levels of cooling while ensuring your AC functions over a wide range of voltage. You get to save 70% energy no matter the number of people in the room. This is in addition to its low noise, 40% fast cooling, and a dual inverter compressor with a 10-year warranty. It simply takes away the stress so you can rest.
With the hot weather upon us, seems you'll be having way more nightmares, man.
More like seems I should get me an LG GenCool air conditioner too. LG, life's good.
One secret about smart business owners: they seek out smart solutions that help them deliver prompt quality service to their customers. Smart solutions like the Airtel Smart Box that provides unlimited high-speed internet connection for up to 32 devices with 240 gigabyte free data. Is smart too. Visit any Airtel store now or send an email to smartbox@ng.airtel.com to get started. Airtel, the smartphone network.
Hey, what's going on, people? This is Uzi Quender. You are now listening to Smooth Breakfast.
Smooth 98.1. This is Lagos Talk. So talking about youth and their role in politics, our special guest is Mr. Jide Ojo. He's a political analyst. And let us know what your thoughts are. The WhatsApp number is 0809 444 0981. And you can, of course, give us a call as well. The telephone number to call is 01 448 981. I've got a message coming through, and this is from Pastor Dakbo. And he says, the song, Whitney Houston did the song Children Are Our Future. The lowdown is that the youth are generally disenchanted and lack of positive incentives exist within the youthful sphere due to systematic moral decadence over the years. It's very sad that able-bodied youth will probably prefer to join the armed forces rather than go into politics. Well, I think it's a thing of pride, or it should be a thing of pride, to serve your country one way or the other, whether it's in the armed forces or any other way. But that's just what I think, though. Thank you, Pastor Dakwa, for your message. Mr. Ojo, I want to ask this. Age of candidacy and representation, is there a link? Because people want to see people who look like them on TV, in the news, people who inspire them. Okay, this person is like me, I can understand this person. And that's where the age of candidacy comes in. So what is the link between these factors and youth participation?
Okay, the nexus is very, very straightforward. When you have a youth, or what we call Gen Zs, the Generation Z or Gen Z, if you have one of them, recall that because many of them are social media influencers or social influencers, as it were, they would definitely be able to pull the crowd to engage, to participate, to vote. And to that extent, recall that at some point in 2019, I recall that that 2019 election, after the Not Too Young to Run, we had a number of Nigerian youths who were just in their early 30s or less than 30, becoming members of parliament at the state assembly level, at the federal level. 4 of them, I will mention. There is one who eventually became the Speaker of Plateau State House of Assembly. There is the current Speaker of Oyo State House of Assembly, Adedoyin. There is also I think one in Kwara and one in Zamfara. They were all in their early 30s, at the age of youth, by definition, is 18 to 35. So within that range, we had quite a handful of those who won their elections, and as a result of that, end up holding high-profile offices like Speaker, like even my majority leader, minority leader, or holding other chairman of the different committees. Just that we didn't have them as governors or as president, given the fact that the age of qualification for governor is 35 minimum, Senate 35 minimum, president 35 minimum. So, and in 2018, the most significant reduction in age qualification was that of the president from 40 to 35. But how many 35 will have the kind of resources to win or to contest for the presidency, where you would need billions of naira to be a strong contender? So there was that age qualification, the reduction for presidency. Now, people contest. Many of them never won, even those who were youth who contested them. But like I said, the nexus is basically that, like you rightly characterized, people want to see who looks like them. So if you are 25, and we just had one who won a seat into the US Congress in the November election. I've forgotten his name. He's a Democrat. He was just 25 and he just got elected into the US Congress. And that is the most celebrated of all those who won in the last election in US. But we will get there. The bottom line is that, yes, imagine a Davido, imagine a Wizkid, imagine a Kiss Daniel, imagine any of these entertainers who are in their youth contesting election. These are people with 50 million followers on Instagram. You get? So if Davido is contesting instead of his uncle, assuming he's the one contesting on the governorship election, just imagine the mammoth crowd that will want to vote for him, because they said, Asikwawa Yutire, I don't know if you understand Yoruba, Asikwawa Yutire, like Sashino Peter sang in the days of yore, that this is the time for the youth, Asikwawa Yutire, so this is our time. So if somebody like that, who is a social influencer, who is a youth, and who pulls a huge followership on social media, if he should be contesting, definitely you see massive turnout. And that is what Jandor is banking on in Lagos. Recall that they deliberately went and picked Funke Akindele as a running mate to Jandor because they know she has huge followership on social media, and being a public figure, a celebrity, definitely they are counting on that will make people, youth in Lagos, to vote for the candidacy of Jandor and Funke Akindele. You also saw Banky W, who is contesting in, I think, Etiosa local government. He's also a youth. And we see how the turnout will be on March 11 when their election will be coming up. But definitely, if you are a youth with clouds, not just any youth, because see, Zibby, we also need to calibrate this thing about youth. Youth is a double-edged sword. They can make and they can mar. Did you know that those who are burning unlike offices, engaging in election violence, are also youth? They are also youth. So you can use youth demography for good, for bad, and for ugly things. So we are only talking in the context of youth energy or resources being used positively. And mark you, there's another distinction I want to make. This election is not just about youth in terms of voting, it's also youth that will conduct this election. You know that? The presiding officers that will be mobilized or that have been recruited by INEC to conduct these elections are people below 30 years of age. Remember, if you are 30, you cannot serve. You cannot do your youth service. And all the presiding officers for the 176,846 polling units are all mobilized from universities and National Youth Service Scheme. So they are the 1.5 million of them will be those who will conduct this election. What about security? Many of those who will be deployed to provide security are also youth who have joined the DSS, the police, the immigration, and all of them, because they are agile, they are vibrant. So definitely the bulk of those who will be deployed will also be youth who are security agents. Then what about youth who are political correspondents or accredited journalists? You are not going to be looking for somebody in their 60s to be deployed to go and be reporting on election. You are going to look at youth who are vibrant, who can go to the interland, who are rugged. I don't know what Smooth FM is doing, but I'm sure if you have youth demography within the studio, within the station, you are most likely going to deploy them. So say, okay, you go to Etiosa, you go to Badagry, but you cannot look for a 65-year-old man to be going through that rigors, because there will be lockdown, there will be a lot of inconveniences. So what I'm saying invariably is that it's still youth that will be reporting on this election. It's youth that will be providing security. It's youth that will be observing this election. All the Yaga, Yaga Africa, most of their observers are youth, because it's a youth-based organization. So you are also going to be having a huge demography of the observer groups, accredited observer being used. So in many ramifications, these forthcoming elections will be about Nigerian youth. They are going to provide security, they are going to report, they are going to observe, they are going to conduct, they are going to vote. So they are playing multiple roles in this electioneering process. But we also must speak to those youths who are allowing themselves to be bought, to be induced, to vote wrongly, for those who are being used to foment trouble at campaign grounds, who are being deployed as political thugs, because it's also youth that are being used to perpetrate this act of electoral violence. So we need to look at it holistically, that the role of youth goes beyond voting or contesting election. They are quite all right. And like I said in my prefatory remarks, the Not Too Young to Run has opened the floodgate for many youth to contest. And we are having many of them contesting in this election. Though I don't have the statistics, but I'm sure if you go to Yaga Africa website, they will be able to give you the demography of how many Nigerian youths below 35 who are going to be contesting across the board in this forthcoming election.
All right, very enlightening conversation, Mr. Ojo. And I've got a message coming through. This one says, I like what I'm listening to. Very insightful about the other country's elections. 12 to 13 hours of voting gives people ample time to think and have a change of plan, even on the same day. And that is from Clement. Thank you for your message, Clement. And that is all the time that we have this morning on Lagos Talks. Thank you so much, Mr. Ojo, for joining us on the show this morning.
My pleasure. Do have a great week ahead.
Thank you so much, sir. And that is it for Lagos Talks. And also we're drawing the curtains on the Smooth Breakfast. The conversation doesn't stop here. We can, of course, keep it going.